don't even know where to start.
Breaking news with Angela Fields.
Good morning. Actually, sad news today. Breaking news, plane crash near Reagan National Airport. That's out in D.C. Right now, I'm just looking at this. The first victims identified after Black Hawk helicopter crashes into American Airlines jet. My reference to anything like this is Breaking Bad. That horrific. Yeah, man. Oh man. Right now, I just don't know what to think. I don't even know where to start. Okay, there's a couple of videos. Audio dispatch from Reagan National.
Breaking news this hour as a small plane has just crashed into the Potomac River here in Washington near the Ronald Reagan Airport just outside Washington, D.C. That's according to the D.C. Fire Department. As you can see here, fireboats are now on the scene, and Reagan National Airport says that all takeoffs and landings from the airport have been halted for now as emergency personnel are responding to the situation that is unfolding. We're just learning new details, and I want to get to CNN's Pete Muntean. Pete, first off, what can you tell us? What do we know about the size of this aircraft or just what happened here?
This is developing by the moment, Caitlin, and it sounds, at least according to the preliminary data from Flight Radar 24, one of the big flight tracking sites, that this may have been a regional jet operated by PSA Airlines that would have been a code share with American Airlines, meaning you buy a ticket on American, the flight is operated by PSA. This flight was apparently on its way from Wichita, Kansas to DCA, Reagan National Airport, just over the DC line in Virginia. Apparently about 8:48 Eastern Standard Time is when this flight was scheduled to arrive, according to the latest flight tracking data. And apparently there was some sort of incident. You can see in the live image there. This is from our DC Bureau in Northeast DC, looking across the Potomac River, so looking essentially southwest towards Reagan National Airport. All the flashing lights of the police response and also the DC fire boats there in the Potomac River. The good news here is that this is we have broken the cold streak here in DC, so the water temperatures are not as frigid as they were. It was a relatively warm day here in Washington DC, so that will aid rescuers and response crews as they're trying to get to the scene. But Reagan National Airport, one of the busiest airports in the country. Apparently this flight, according to the flight tracking data, was coming in from the south. That's called the Mount Vernon approach into Reagan National Airport, landing on runway 1 at Reagan National Airport, which is to the north. That's the busiest single runway in the national airspace system. A lot of folks still finding out about this. We have calls out to the Federal Aviation Administration, the National Transportation Safety Board, American Airlines, and beyond. Right now, we're just getting very early preliminary information from the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority itself, which operates Reagan National Airport. They say there is an incident at the airport right now, but things are still developing all the time, and we're trying to figure out exactly what the circumstances were here. If this was a crash of a commercial airliner, that has not happened in the United States in about 15 years. The last...
Wow. Oh my goodness. So a moment of silence. Gosh, prayers and oh man. Honestly, that sounds like a bad statistic. I'm not saying the world should be that perfect, but a crash in 15 years. Yes, overall, yeah, but like point blank, to think that we are still in a time where there ain't enough technology to prevent things like this from happening. Continuing.
Major crash of a commercial airliner in the U.S. was the Colgan Air crash of 2009. Left an indelible mark on aviation, left sweeping regulatory changes that are still being dealt with in aviation to this day. It is a really, really, really busy slice of airspace. And I can tell you, as a pilot, as a flight instructor, as somebody who has a small airplane at an airport not too far away from Reagan National Airport, it is a very restricted piece of airspace, but it's also very busy with commercial traffic, also very busy with helicopters, not only from local law enforcement, but also military and government agencies. We just saw in D.C., if you've ever spent a long time in the District of Columbia, you know that helicopters are a way of life here. So there are some now big questions here about the busyness of the airspace and what exactly took place here. We don't want to...
I don't want to think about it, but it literally crossed my mind. So I'm not gonna even say it. I'm not gonna even say it.
Speculate. We want to rule things out, but right now we're just finding out very preliminary information about what has taken place here at Reagan National Airport. Very clearly an incident, and very clearly an incident with an incredible police and fire response.
And just on the helicopters, I mean, there's literally a Twitter account dedicated to what helicopters flying where, because there are so many flying in U.S. airspace. Marine One flies over the Potomac, to be clear, as well. That's that flight pattern. But on this plane specifically, is it a passenger plane? And if so, how many passengers does it fit exactly?
This is what we think, according to the preliminary flight tracking data, and I'm going to underscore again and again, this is preliminary, that this flight was a Canadair regional jet. And I'm just going to pull up the data again. A CRJ is what they're called. You've probably been on them before. They operate the regional flights for major airlines between smaller airports and larger airports. They're a very common sight at Reagan National Airport. It looks like this was a CRJ 700. So that is a larger, longer regional jet. Seats about 60 or 70 people or so. I'd have to check on it. I'm sure somebody will also check me on that who's watching right now. So this could be potentially very significant. And if this involves indeed a commercial flight, and that's what the preliminary flight tracking data says, that this flight was on approach into Reagan National Airport, approaching from the south to the north on the Mount Vernon approach, initially landing on runway 1, and then potentially, according to the flight data, did a swing around maneuver where they sort of swing over the Maryland side of the Potomac and then line up with a northwesterly runway called runway 33. That's a pretty common thing for these smaller regional jets to do. It's something, a maneuver that can be very tricky at times. This, of course, happened at night, which makes things a bit more complicated, not only for the pilots who were flying this airplane, but also for rescuers. It is very, very dark on the Potomac, and it is. I was out just a minute ago. It seemed like mostly a moonlit night, or mostly a moonless night.
Oh goodness. Okay, this was 9 at night. So when did this happen exactly? Did that just happen at 9 at night? Somewhere around that time frame, maybe 7, 8 o'clock yesterday night. It's a U.S. Army helicopter. So many lost lives. My heart, thoughts, and prayers are with you. Thank you for your time.